Merry Christmas, Thomas.
No, 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 no.
Black Christmas. A group of teenage girls begin to get menacing phone calls from a very troubled maniac during the Christmas break. As the girls begin to go missing, it soon looks like they're being taken out by a killer one by one, who won't stop until he has the sorority house to himself for Xmas. Now first I want to say that the slasher genre isn't my favourite. This is mainly due to the fact that it's way too overcrowded and has too many lazy copycats being produced. I mean, they're usually so derivative it's just beyond a joke. However, 1974's Black Christmas isn't a lazy rehash, as it predates the slasher boom of the 1980s. In fact, it even beat Halloween, which is heralded as the movie that brought back the slasher genre by a whole 4 years. Yeah. The creepiest thing in this movie has to be the killer's voice and backstory, which we get drip-fed through his creepy phone calls. It has adequate performances for its young actors and does well within its low-budget confines. It's mainly set within the girls' sorority house, which is full of darkly lit corners, perfect for a killer to be hiding in. It has a pretty decent body count, but doesn't suffer from an overabundance of gore, which it doesn't really need anyway, because when you see a girl get strangled to death by a truly psychotic original character, it really does add a sense of realism that's usually lacking in this sort of movie. So just remember, if you're staying in a sorority house over the Christmas season and that phone rings, don't pick it up.
What do you want? Why are you doing this?
Filthy villain! I know you're there, Billy! You're answering.
So let's look at P2, or Packing Level 2, whatever the hell it's called. Here's the plot. Angela's working late in her office on Christmas Eve. She's overworked, overstressed and overpaid? Who knows, no one mentioned that. Being one of the last people to leave her building, she heads towards her car at Packing Level 2, ironically. Unfortunately, the batter is dead, or so it seems at first. She soon calls on the friendly security guard who's got a little office in Parking Level to help her out. Unfortunately, she doesn't realise Thomas, the innocent looking security guard, is actually obsessed with her and has already planned their night meticulously. Can Angela fight back against Thomas and escape the Parking Level, or will Thomas play out his ultimate fantasy? Now, I first saw this movie back in cinemas when it first came out, and I didn't have too many memories of it. The only thing I recall with any clarity was when Thomas chloroforms Angela and she starts to wake up all groggy and drowsy. As she opens her eyes, he's dressed fully in the Santa Claus suit.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!
Ho 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 ho! Stars the crazy-eyed guy from American Beauty, and I've also seen him more recently in the Stephen King low-budget adaptation of Dolan's Cadillac, which was pretty good. In this movie, I felt like he was really channeling a young Bruce Campbell, and I really liked that in his performance. He was off the wall in one scene, wacky in the next, straight-laced in the other one. It really added levels to his psychotic breakdown that he has over the film. You see, it's all Angela's fault for not wanting to stay for dinner. And the ultimate scene that really proves his insanity is where he puts on an Elvis track, Blue Christmas in case you're wondering, and proceeds to gyrate and sing and dance whilst looking at the security monitors. I'll be so blue Christmas. Thank you very much. The actress who plays Angela, I'm not sure of her name, I'll probably put it on screen now. Bing! Does a fantastic job with the role. She's obviously climbing the corporate ladder and is quite a headstrong woman to begin with. But as Thomas pushes her psyche to the limit, she really starts to fight back in extraordinary ways which he doesn't even expect. In one sequence, Thomas shows her some surveillance footage where one of the male colleagues tries to accost her in the lift. We'd already seen this guy apologise to Angela earlier in the film, and he did seem quite heartfelt at the time, albeit a complete sleazeball. However, Thomas has sorted it out so she can get her revenge, having tied up this guy and left him down in the lower parking level. He proceeds to tell Angela that she needs to beat him with his nightstick. Not an innuendo, he actually has a nightstick as a security guard. Get your mind out of the gutter. After she refuses, he simply goes out and starts beating the living crap out of him. If that isn't enough, he gets back in the car that they're in and proceeds to smash the guy straight into the wall several times until he's pretty dead, alright. and then simply proclaims, "Angela, I did it for you! I'm trying to help you, Angela!" The movie has a really good pace to it. There's a whole cat and mouse thing going on between Thomas and Angela. She manages to escape, he's getting closer. A scene where Angela decides to hide in the elevator seems like a really good idea. Until that is, Thomas opens the elevator doors and puts a hose pipe in. It trickles down and starts to flood the elevator. As if that isn't bad enough, he chucks down the security guard that Angela knew at the start of the film, Kevin, so he's pretty dead as well. That makes this guy a complete fruitcake by now, and we're not rooting for him. I really don't want to tell you much more about this movie if you haven't seen it, because it is worth watching at this time of year, and I'm pretty sure you can probably watch it online, stream it from somewhere. So rundown, you've got everything you actually could want in this movie. It's set on Christmas Eve, you've got a psychotic killer out to kill the main girl, all cat and mouse sequences, and there's even a game of chicken involving a couple of the rental cars. So overall, I'm going to give this movie 4 Christmas hats out of a possible 5 because I found it damn entertaining. Ho 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 ho! Christmas Evil. When a toy factory worker learns Santa Claus isn't real, he goes berserk and begins to prowl the streets to punish who's been bad this year. This movie really kicked the whole killer in a Santa Claus outfit into the mainstream and is highly regarded as one of the better efforts of this subgenre. Very low budgeted in a grindhouse sort of way, it doesn't have a huge body count as it mainly revolves around the central character's psychological meltdown. Silly, dark and at times infuriatingly odd, I'd recommend you watch this and make up your own mind. On it also stars The Walking Dead's Jeffrey DeMunn as the brother to the troubled Santa Claus murderer. Oh, and I've got to say, without giving anything away, the crazy whimsical ending seems to suggest this movie will forever divide its audience. Go watch it now. Now on to our killer snowman film that is, and has got to be, Jack Frost. Here's the plot. On a snowy night, a prisoner transport is taking one Jack Frost to be executed for his psychotic crimes. Because of the storm, they end up in a head-on collision with a truck full of experimental genetic compounds. As you do. Jack then gets covered with these and seemingly melts away to nothing in the snow. But that's not the end, people. Oh no. Soon after, a spate of bizarre frosty murders ensue, and it seems that Jack Frost has returned in the shape of a very angry snowman. He's then on a quest for revenge against the people who convicted him. Can the local sheriff work out a way to stop Jack for good, or are they all in for a long winter? Did I just say that? Well, I'm not going to ruin the end for you, but I will say that there is a sequel to this movie. Which in itself is probably a spoiler, so... yeah. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie, having seen the trailer back in the late 90s on a VHS tape. How time flies. Unfortunately, having finally seen the film, I've been let down by the fact that it's such a shockingly bad movie. Shockingly now. The general acting level in the film veers from passable to extremely bad. Any scene with Jack the styrofoam snowman is just hilarious, even if it's not intentional. Now, Jack has a tendency to spout Freddy Krueger-like dialogue while he's attacking people. One such terrible one-liner that comes to mind, and probably the only one that really has stuck in my mind for just the pure awfulness of it, is, "Don't eat yellow snow." Why? Seriously, why? I'm sure the only selling point the filmmakers had for this film is the bathtub scene, Shannon Elizabeth, aka Nadia from the American Pie films, which is still not worth watching the film for. One last thing I will point out, which just shows how stupid the writers of this film are. Near the end of the film, they discover that antifreeze can be used to harm Jack Frost. Now, how does this get discovered, you ask? In a plausible way? Quite possibly not. Well, earlier on in the movie, the sheriff's daughter had made him some chocolate s'mores or whatever it is. I don't know what the hell it was supposed to be. Now, she'd added a secret ingredient to the mix. And can you guess what that secret ingredient is? You've guessed it. Antifreeze! Haha! When the kids asked what was in the chocolate thing, she simply states, "Oh, don't get mad, I didn't want you to get cold." How stupid is this kid? What the hell? This kid's clearly trying to kill her father. Don't let this kid make you a sandwich, don't let this kid anywhere near food. What if he'd eaten it? Absolutely unbelievable. Seriously, writers, you couldn't figure out a better way of adding that into the plot? Really? Saying that, why am I even questioning this movie? It's about a styrofoam looking snowman that comes and kills people. I'm going to give this movie a very frosty 1 star out of 5. Man in Black. A young solicitor is sent to a creepy old manor house in the country to gather paperwork of the late owner. Unfortunately, he is tormented by an evil spirit whose hateful nature in life has only grown in power since her death. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, this isn't a Christmas movie. Well, not specifically. It did debut at Christmas time back in 1989 and scared a whole generation of impressionable youths. I think horror can work fabulously during this season. Just think about it, the dark days, cold nights, a perfect atmosphere for this type of story, don't you agree? The Woman in Black is a moderately budgeted TV movie that has a tense atmosphere throughout, and in many ways is better than the Daniel Radcliffe version, which, to be fair, was a little bit too heavy on the jump scares in my opinion. Also, as a quick bit of trivia, the guy who plays a central role in this also played Harry Potter's father in the Harry Potter movies, which is amusing because Daniel Radcliffe later played this role in the remake in 2012. Small world, eh? Oh, and if you're too scared to watch this film, don't worry, she can wait. She's always waiting for you.